Osbourne. Good evening, Ozzy.
What?
Good evening, Ozzy.
Hello there.
How are you?
Fine.
Ozzy,
Deep within the dark corridors of heavy metal history, there existed a figure whose very name could summon both worship and wrath. Ozzy Osbourne, the Prince of Darkness himself, wasn't just the boundary-pushing vocalist who helped birth heavy metal with Black Sabbath. He was also a lightning rod for controversy that sparked explosive feuds throughout his decades-long career.
Do you know why I do what I do? The reason why I do what I do is because it's what everybody wants to do.
They always say things that I later regret, like people say to me, is there going to be a reformation of the original Black Sabbath? I go,
In the shadowy corridors of heavy metal history, few figures have commanded reverence and resentment like Ozzy Osbourne. The Birmingham-born vocalist who helped birth heavy metal with Black Sabbath became known as the Prince of Darkness, but his decades-long career was marked by more than just musical innovation. Behind the legendary anthems like Crazy Train and Mr. Crowley lay a complex web of professional rivalries and personal conflicts that would define metal's most contentious relationships. Today, we explore 6 prominent musicians who reportedly harbored deep animosity toward the madman of metal himself. The first name on our list might surprise metal purists everywhere. Ronnie James Dio, the legendary voice behind Rainbow and Heaven and Hell, reportedly maintained a profound disdain for Ozzy that extended far beyond typical professional rivalry. The tension allegedly began when Dio replaced Ozzy in Black Sabbath in 1979, stepping into shoes that many considered impossible to fill. According to music journalist Malcolm Dome, Dio privately confided to close associates that Ozzy was merely a clown who had stumbled into greatness. Sources claim Dio believed Ozzy's theatrical antics overshadowed what metal should truly represent. The philosophical divide ran deep. While Dio crafted elaborate fantasy narratives and showcased technical vocal mastery, Ozzy found massive success with what Dio reportedly dismissed as shock value over substance. Dio allegedly told a German magazine in 1983 that there were entertainers and there were musicians, and some people confused the two. Though he avoided naming names, industry insiders understood the target of his criticism. The rivalry reached its peak during a 1985 backstage encounter where witnesses claimed Dio deliberately snubbed Ozzy, turning away and muttering something about real metal versus cartoon metal. For Dio, this represented everything wrong with metal's direction: dignity sacrificed for debauchery, mythology abandoned for madness. Phil Anselmo, the volatile frontman of Pantera, reportedly viewed Ozzy as a relic from metal's embarrassing past. During the early 1990s, when Pantera was pioneering groove metal, Ozzy was experiencing what many considered a creative decline. This generational clash would create one of metal's most bitter undercurrents. According to Metal Hammer journalist Jeff Barton, Anselmo privately referred to Ozzy as a has-been riding on decades-old glory during a 1994 interview that was never published. What particularly infuriated Anselmo was Ozzy's continued dominance in a scene in which Pantera felt they were revolutionizing. While Anselmo pushed metal into heavier, more aggressive territory, Ozzy continued packing arenas with what Anselmo reportedly called nostalgia metal for people who stopped discovering new music in 1975. Anselmo allegedly told Revolver magazine in 1996 that metal needed to evolve or die, adding that some people were content living in the past. The tension exploded at a 1995 festival where both acts performed. Witnesses claim Anselmo refused to acknowledge Ozzy when introduced, reportedly stating loud enough for others to hear that he didn't shake hands with people who had turned metal into a joke. Despite Ozzy's later attempts at reconciliation, Anselmo maintained his cold stance, referring to him only as a performer from a different era. Bruce Dickinson, Iron Maiden's operatic frontman, reportedly harbored a long-standing resentment toward Ozzy that transcended typical British metal rivalry. The air raid siren himself allegedly had choice words about the Prince of Darkness that never made it into polite interviews. The feud reportedly began in the early 1980s when both acts competed for dominance in the British metal scene. According to Kerrang founder Jeff Barton, Dickinson once told a small group of journalists that Ozzy was more P.T. Barnum than Robert Plant, and that his success proved theatrics could triumph over talent with the right marketing machine. What bothered Dickinson wasn't just Ozzy's approach to metal, but what it represented for the genre's future. While Iron Maiden crafted complex narratives and showcased musical virtuosity, Ozzy achieved massive commercial success with what Dickinson reportedly called shock rock masquerading as heavy metal. Dickinson allegedly told a German radio station in 1983 that real metal didn't need gimmicks and should stand on musical merit, not on how many dead animals you could mutilate on stage. The rivalry peaked during a 1984 industry party where witnesses claimed Dickinson deliberately avoided being photographed with Ozzy, reportedly telling a photographer that some associations damage your credibility as a serious musician. Even decades later, when asked about influential metal vocalists, Dickinson's responses notably omitted any mention of Ozzy, focusing instead on less controversial figures like Ian Gillan and Robert Plant. Dave Mustaine, Megadeth's fiery frontman, reportedly harbored hatred for Ozzy that stemmed from a deeply personal rejection that cut to the core of his massive ego. The thrash metal pioneer never forgot what he saw as the ultimate disrespect from the Prince of Darkness. The conflict began in the mid-1980s when Mustaine was desperately trying to prove Megadeth's superiority over his former band, Metallica. According to Metal Force's magazine editor Bernard Doe, Mustaine approached Ozzy's management about a potential collaboration or tour support slot, only to be dismissed without consideration. A former Megadeth roadie later told Revolver that Dave took it personally, feeling like Ozzy looked down on thrash metal as inferior noise, which drove him crazy. What made matters worse was Ozzy's reported comment to a British journalist in 1987, questioning where the melody and soul were in these new thrash bands that he called angry kids making angry noise. The feud intensified when Ozzfest became metal's premier touring festival in the 1990s. Despite Megadeth's critical acclaim and commercial success, they were never invited to participate in the early years. Mustaine reportedly told Metal Hammer this was personal politics, and that certain dinosaurs were keeping innovative bands off major stages. At a 1998 industry awards ceremony, witnesses claimed Mustaine deliberately snubbed Ozzy during introductions, turning away and muttering something about respect being earned, not inherited. The slight was noticed by everyone present, including Ozzy himself, who reportedly looked genuinely confused by the hostility. Blackie Lawless, WASP's theatrical mastermind, reportedly viewed Ozzy as a pale imitation of true shock rock artistry. This professional rivalry ran deeper than most fans ever suspected, rooted in competing visions of what outrageous metal performance should represent. The bad blood began in the early 1980s when both acts competed for the crown of most outrageous metal performer. According to Circus magazine editor Catherine Turman, Lawless privately referred to Ozzy as a one-trick pony who got lucky with a bat, believing WASP's elaborate stage productions were far superior to Ozzy's amateur hour antics. What infuriated Lawless was Ozzy's massive commercial success despite what he saw as inferior showmanship. While WASP's product time was crafting detailed horror-themed spectacles, Ozzy was packing arenas with what Lawless reportedly called sloppy shock value that wouldn't pass muster in a high school drama class. Lawless allegedly told a French metal magazine in 1985 that there was art in chaos and then there was just chaos, adding that some people mistake accidents for artistry. The rivalry reached its peak during the PMRC hearings when both acts were targeted by moral crusaders. Instead of finding common ground, the controversy reportedly deepened their mutual disdain. At a 1985 industry meeting about the hearings, witnesses claim Lawless refused to sit at the same table as Ozzy, allegedly stating that he wouldn't be associated with amateur hour. Even decades later, when asked about influential shock rock performers, Lawless consistently omitted Ozzy from his responses, focusing instead on Alice Cooper and other pioneers he deemed more authentic. The most shocking entry takes our top position: Tony Iommi, Ozzy's own Black Sabbath guitarist and the man who helped create the Prince of Darkness persona. The reported hatred between these former bandmates ran so deep that it made their public reunions feel like elaborate charades for profit rather than genuine reconciliation. The conflict began in the late 1970s when Ozzy's drug abuse and erratic behavior reached a breaking point. According to former Sabbath manager Patrick Meehan Jr., Iommi privately told associates that Ozzy had become a liability, masquerading as a frontman, and that his antics were overshadowing the band's musical achievements. What made this feud particularly brutal was its nature. While other conflicts were professional rivalries, this represented family betrayal. Iommi reportedly felt that Ozzy had abandoned their shared vision for cheap laughs and controversy, turning their dark musical art into what he called a traveling freak show. The hatred was so intense that their multiple reunions were reportedly motivated purely by financial considerations, not reconciliation. At a 1997 reunion rehearsal, witnesses claim Iommi barely spoke to Ozzy outside of musical directions, treating him like a hired vocalist rather than a creative partner. Even during their Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction, body language experts noted the visible tension between them. Iommi's acceptance speech notably failed to mention Ozzy's contributions, focusing instead on the band's musical legacy, the ultimate betrayal, being hated by the man who created your legend. These 6 contentious relationships reveal the complex dynamics that shaped heavy metal's evolution. From philosophical differences about metal's true purpose to personal slights that festered for decades, Ozzy Osbourne's career was marked by as much conflict as it was by musical innovation. Whether driven by artistic disagreement, professional jealousy, or genuine personal animosity, these feuds demonstrate that even the Prince of Darkness couldn't charm everyone in metal's unforgiving landscape. The legacy of these rivalries continues to influence how we understand the personalities and politics that built the genre we know today.